Hello and welcome to Cash in the Celebrity Attic, the programme that searches the homes of the famous for antiques and collectibles and then takes them to auction to make good money for great charities. Now today I'm going to meet a lady who at one point was one of the most controversial politicians that this country has ever seen. At the height of her political career, she wasn't exactly popular with the farmers. Now, after leaving the world of politics, she became a very successful writer, campaigner and broadcaster. I wonder have you managed to work out exactly who she is? Yes, today I'm in a very damp Surrey, but I'm on my way to meet the formidable but fun Edwina Currie. Coming up, it looks like we'll have rich pickings as we rummage through Edwina's house.
There are thousands of books in this house. Where do you want to start?
Brilliant, off we go.
But there are some items that are just too scary to take to auction.
The eyelids go up and down. She's rather creepy.
Edwina will need all the charm she can muster when she gets to the stand.
Who's going up to 65? 65? Yes, thank you.
So at the end of the day, will Edwina's lots prove popular?
Yes.
Or will they be affected by a vote of no confidence? Find out later.
Going. Gone.
A well-known Conservative Member of Parliament for almost 15 years, Edwina Currie became infamous, first for revealing that there was a problem with Salmonella in eggs, and later for her affair with former Prime Minister John Major. Since then, she's written books, hosted radio shows, and made numerous television appearances. She's been married to her second husband, former police detective John Jones, since 2001. So let's hope the Cash in the Attic team will be able to keep Edwina and John's house in order as we search for items to sell at auction. James, good morning. Come under my umbrella.
My pleasure.
Now, you're going to meet, of course, a wonderful, feisty lady today, but one political commentator said about her, she had a brass neck, a silver tongue and a golden pen.
Well, listen, let's hope that my silver tongue can come up with some Conservative valuations today.
I get it, James. And you certainly have a silver tongue, so shall we go and meet the family?
Let's go in.
Have to get rid of the umbrella first. Thank you. Edwina and John live in a stunning 5-bedroom barn conversion in Surrey. It's full of art and antiques that they've both collected for years. In their spare time, they like nothing better than to head to the auction rooms to bid on some bargains. But today, they're going to be looking for items they can sell as auction lots for charity. Edwina and John, I might have known I'd find you submerged in papers. How are you?
How are you?
Really lovely to see you again.
Come and sit down. Yeah, absolutely. How are you?
Good. I tell you, I love this area where you're living. It's fabulous.
Thank you very much.
Well, of course, within Cash in the Attic, we always love to know just how interested you are in antiques and collecting. So which one of you is the collector?
I started.
I do it too.
She does now. It's quite funny, actually, Gloria. When Edwina and I first got together, she said one day, we do need a new table. Shall we go to, mentioned a couple of large department stores? And I said, no, we won't. We're going to go to an auction. She said, they're all second-hand things there. They'll be scratched. Anyway, I dragged her down to an auction and she's had the bug ever since.
Been hooked ever since,
Yeah, that's
scratched
right.
or otherwise.
Yes, that's right.
And how much money do you reckon you need to raise today?
I think our target should be about £500. This will be for Marie Curie Cancer Care. When I met John, he was a widower. 10 years ago, his wife died, and she was in the Marie Curie Hospice in Caterham, in Surrey. And I've seen their work over a very long period of time.
So £500 minimum, fingers crossed, and then obviously the more we can get, the better. Well, we're delighted to be here, but I'm going to put you to work because I know that James is already rummaging and plundering in your gorgeous house, so I think we'll go and find him. Antiques expert and auctioneer James Rylands has already amassed 30 years of experience, and it looks like he's about to ring the division bell and get today's rummage underway. John gets the message straight away and starts hunting high and low for likely lots. But it's James who strikes rummage gold first with this possible auction item.
What have you found, James? Hello.
I found this. And on the back, it's probably got one of the most well-known porcelain marks in the world. What does that say to you?
That's crossed swords That's Meissen.
Absolutely right, absolutely right.
So where did this come from, Edwina?
This was in a box of plates that I got for a song, really. Picked it up, looked okay, sound.
Yep, that's always a good pointer.
And then I turned it over and I thought,
I like it even more.
It's just a very, very pretty plate and it's in beautiful condition.
So, James, what is the history of Meissen?
Meissen have been making porcelain since the early part of the 18th century. In those days, the most valuable porcelain all came from the Orient. And basically, no one in Europe could actually get the formula for proper hard-paste porcelain. There was this wonderfully wacky chap called Augustus the Strong, and he made it his mission statement to try and discover the secret. Within a few years, people were trying to copy them, so they thought, right, we've got to mark our wares. And then in the 1750s, that is when the mark first started, the cross swords.
Can you tell how old it is?
I think this particular one dates towards the end of the 19th century. And then when you put that charming pattern together with this wonderful pierced rib, what a stunning piece.
Beautiful.
What's it worth? Well, I think this one is probably going to be sort of £40 to £60.
Oh, that's not bad.
So not a bad investment, but we need more.
We've got all sorts of strange stuff in odd corners and cupboards.
But you're happy with that, are you?
Yes, I'm happy for
Good.
that to go.
Great.
All right, well, let's soldier on.
Yep.
Porcelain is often known as China because until the Europeans cracked the formula at Meissen, it was only made in the Orient. And it looks like we might well find some more trinkets we can take to auction, as Edwina is obviously an avid collector. But one thing's for sure, she's no mug, and we'll be keeping a keen eye on the lots we line up. Fortunately, John seems to have found something that's just the job.
James, over here, amongst the tourist trash, there are a couple of pieces which you might be interested in. Tribal figures. I actually grew up in Lagos as a little boy, and my mum and dad, who lived there, were both made chieftains of the Yoruba tribe. So I've got a soft spot for Nigeria. So that I'm sure is Yoruba. That I'm not so sure. So perhaps you can help us.
Well, I think they're both from that part of the world.
Yeah.
This little chap here, wonderful. He's got the little sort of, almost like a belt going around him with these little cowrie shells. And then round his arm, he's actually got a bone tied with sort of rope. Here, probably from like a witch doctor.
Yeah.
So each part of this has huge symbolism. Tribal art, as we call this, quite popular, very collectible. I think value-wise, we're probably getting up towards 100 quid. So we'll probably say sort of 70 to 110.
That's...
Give it a right. And obviously we just hope that the collectors are going to be there because it's quite a small field, if
I
you
know,
like.
I agree. And I think that's fine. And it's interesting to think we've got one doctor, in a sense, for Marie Curie going to another doctor, haven't we?
I love it, John. I love it. Let's hope someone pays for the privilege.
That's absolutely right.
It can be very hard sometimes to tell the good tribal pieces from the tourist souvenirs. So look out for items with genuine provenance like these ones. And we won't need to haul Edwina over the coals for her next find. This bronze statue was given to her when she visited a miners' welfare association in the late 80s. Selling it at auction could now help raise £20 to £30 for her charity. Someone might well be prepared to push the boat out in order to buy this stunning schooner, but I don't think Edwina and John are prepared to part with it. So while James peruses some potentially valuable paintings, I'm going to get to grips with Edwina. Now, Edwina, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I know that you're so passionate about politics. But, you know, many would run away from it, and I've often wondered what really drew you to politics in the first place.
Well, I grew up in Liverpool, as you know, in a house where everybody argued. We had debates at school. We were encouraged to take points of view and argue for them, research it and so on. And by the time I got to university, I knew that I was always going to be interested in politics, how the system works, how decisions get taken. And I've always loved speaking. I've loved always.
No, we never would have believed that.
on my feet and expressing myself to people and trying to convince them.
Now, like her or loathe her, but Mrs. Thatcher was a true formidable force. And I'm just wondering what it was like to work alongside her.
Well, Margaret was extraordinary, but serving under her in government, that was kind of scary. She was fierce. I remember coming out of a meeting with her where I'd had to brief her on something and saying, oh, now I know how an Egyptian mummy felt as they drew its brain out through its nostrils with pincers.
What a memory. We must talk about the Salmonella episode. How do you now look back on that?
I don't regret doing it. I'm sure we saved lives as a result.
But do you now regret that it cost you your high-profile political career?
Well, I just started writing novels.
A new career.
Helped pay for the house. I may tell you that in those days, politics was not a well-paid profession. It's better now.
Now, you brought up the subject of books, and this is going to be a girly question now. Because when you released your diaries, I did think to myself, why on earth has Edwina decided to reveal her affair with John Major? So, did you do it for publicity?
Well, it was a secret. It would have to come out sooner or later. There were one or two other people who knew it. And I felt it was my secret. And I felt a kind of relief because of the burden I'd been carrying.
Sure.
If I'd talked about that while John Major was Prime Minister, I'd have destroyed the government.
Of course, I could argue and say that with Pillow Talk, you could have told him quite a lot.
I did.
What did you tell him?
One of the things I shared was that if you want to bring the people along with you, you have to talk to them. We have one of the shrewdest, most intelligent, most sophisticated electorates in the world. What John Major was doing was, I think, trying to say, oh, everything's all right, we're all fine.
Today we're working as hard as we can to raise the money for Marie Curie. What do you love about that organisation most?
They have 10 hospices around the country, but they also look after something like 20,000 people a year in their own homes. It's only partly funded by the NHS. The bulk of the money has to be raised by charitable means.
Well, I hope we raise lots of money, not just the £500, but more. So shall we find the rest?
Let's do that.
Now it's time to get back to the search, and John's putting himself in the rummaging picture. And I think this antique writing set also looks very inspiring. I wonder if Edwina wrote any of her revelations on it.
Aha.
Edwina, enjoying your book, I have to say. It's wonderful. Great stuff.
Good. Don't believe everything you read in there. I was wondering if this was any good. This is a dictionary of English furniture, but I think we've only got a bit of it.
Right, yes you have. Percy Mccoy and Ralph Edwards, and I think this is the first edition. Yeah, there it is. MCM XX1V, that's 1924, and they produced it in 3 volumes, and it's by furniture type. So this is A to Ch, as in chairs. So we've got a third of the set. But this is an absolute Bible for people in my trade. It really is. Looking at this, it's absolute gospel, because what it does is feature pieces of furniture in their original locations. From an art historian's point of view, a furniture historian's point of view, something like this is wonderful because it establishes provenance.
What we liked about it was that it's got some beautiful colour plates.
Oh, look at that.
And it helped us to know, well, that's a certain kind of feet, that's a certain kind of feet, if they're on, and it is probably authentic. If we put it in our auction, would we get any money for it?
Yes, we would. Even though it's a third of the original set, I still think we'd be looking at between, say, £50 and £80.
Good grief.
So, yeah, are you going to be sorry to see it go?
Well, I think you might have to argue with John about it, but I think I'll persuade him.
Oh, OK, well, good. We know it's going to a worthy cause, so that's great. What other books have you got to show me?
There are thousands of books in this house. Where do you want to start?
Brilliant. Off we go. Lead on.
The English furniture book is a must for any keen antiques hunter. So hopefully it'll get snapped up for somewhere between £50 and £80. I've also found another great collectible. Royal Copenhagen is one of the most sought-after marks for porcelain, and this plate should collect £40 to £80. John's rummaging through his clothes collection, but I'm not sure if there's anything of value here. Perhaps we should just let sleeping dogs lie. But I found something in the living room that I think might well sell at auction. James, Edwina may be able to help us in this case. This porcelain is as light as a feather.
It sure is. Actually, that's quite an interesting example.
So what is it exactly?
Basically, they're tea bowls with little saucers to go with them. They're Japanese, and they probably date towards the end of the 19th century. Originally, what they did was they imported a lot of their teawares from China. And then they started squabbling, but having wars between sort of China and Japan. So they started their own kilns, and by the 19th century, this had developed into a huge, huge industry.
So is there a good market for this kind of porcelain?
There is, and I've got to be honest with you, it's not huge, which is a pity, because given the quality, if I run my finger around there, the potting is so sharp, you could virtually
cut
your
yourself
finger
on
on. You really could. So what have we got here? We've got a bunch of tea bowls and saucers and things like that, all painted by hand, and the value, I'm afraid, is probably £30, £50 for the lot.
No.
Yeah.
See, I would have thought if something is hand-painted like that, that there would be a bigger and better market for it.
It really, really should be. But I guess at those days, at that time, in Japan, labour incredibly cheap.
So, Edwina, it's going to auction.
Yes, I think so.
All right, a done deal. So shall we go into the dining room and see what else we can find?
These Japanese porcelain bowls could do well and make between £30 and £50. And I'm sure we can count on Edwina to egg on the bidders when her eggshell porcelain gets to auction. Now, we might be over halfway towards our £500 target, but we've still got a lot more items to find. Edwina's throwing her hat in the ring and her feather boa. It's a bit early for a victory dance, Edwina, but perhaps there is cause to celebrate, because James has found another great item. Now, this pine desk doesn't get used anymore and should draw in bids of up to £200.
I have to say that both of you always look like you're having a great time and a really, really good relationship, but I want to know where exactly you met.
He was a guest on my radio programme, and we had a discussion, quite a heated discussion, about violence in Brixton and shooting in the streets and so on. And at the end, I said to my producer, that copper sounded very interesting. See if he'll come out to lunch. I'll take him to lunch when I'm in London.
Oh, you brazen hussy.
She is, isn't she?
I noticed the spitting image puppet in one of the rooms. That must have quite a story behind it. Did you hate your puppet or did you quite relish it at the time?
I got a call from John's brother, Frank, saying, did you know that your spitting image puppet is up for auction? It was on an online auction, important one, and she's the real thing. Her eyes move, the eyelids go up and down. She's rather creepy.
I'm wondering, John, if Edwina's interest in politics has really rubbed off even more on you, because in recent times you became involved with the council and being a councillor.
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly Edwina's background in politics has had some effect on me, but I've always been interested in politics. But when I retired from the police, I just think I felt I wanted to continue doing some kind of community work.
Well, you seem to have a good relationship going.
Most of the time he behaves himself.
I always do as I'm
But I'm going to put the pair of you back to work again, because we're still trying to raise that £500. So where will we go next, John?
Well, we'll go through there.
Okay. Let's go then.
James has been keeping himself very busy and has found a set of books containing original editions of the Spectator magazine dating back to 1786. It's not quite the complete set for that year, so it's valued at somewhere between £30 and £40. Meanwhile, John's also browsing the bookshelves for more bidding lots. And James is taking a look at Edwina's chest.
Edwina, Gloria,
Yes. Oh.
Hi, James.
I found something up here.
James, don't tell me you're rooting around people's drawers again.
Always rooting around. Edwina, where did this one come from?
I bought that when I first moved out of the House of Commons and had a flat in Clapham, and I needed some furniture. I think I paid about 60 quid for it, something like that.
Gosh, good bargain. It's good, isn't it?
I love it. When I first came upstairs, I thought, well, you know, it's a nice, you know, Victorian pine chest of drawers.
Yeah.
But it's not English. I think it's actually Dutch. And
What makes you think that?
well, that is an absolutely typical Dutch leg with this sort of waved moulding.
I must admit, I really like all these sort of curved edges and the way all the trim, you know, is around the drawer. It's gorgeous. I love that.
If you imagine that that's rather like the gable on a Dutch house.
On a Dutch house, which of course this house is.
Unwittingly, you bought something quite suitable for a house you've been living in.
And why are you selling it?
Well, we went to an auction not that long ago, and at the moment Georgian furniture is very, very cheap.
Yes.
So we bought a couple of George III chests of drawers, and
Trading up.
well, they take precedence over this.
I mean, although this is very much what we would call a country-made piece of furniture, it's actually incredibly well made. But if I take that out, can you feel sort of, it's got sort of quite a sort of smooth, silky feel?
Yeah.
What someone's done there, and it's absolutely right, is they've put candle wax in there, because that's what makes the drawers run more smoothly.
It served me very, very well for what 10 years, and now I hope somebody else is going to like it.
Well, value-wise, I would think now for this one, well, if we put an estimate between £100 and £200 on it, then let's see it go away and do quite well.
Fantastic.
Economist has won again.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, another good buy.
The pine chest of drawers makes a great auction lot, and with a valuation of over £100, it gets us even closer to our charity target. John's been keeping busy, and his search of the bookshelves has yet again been rewarded with a great auction find. These first edition volumes of the dramatic works of Shakespeare include 8 kings, a long list of lovers, tragedy, comedy, and everything in between. All's well that ends well, if this lot sells for its estimate of £80 to £120. And James takes his hat off to John for that great result. Then, fresh from rummaging success, it looks like Edwina and John have decided to put their feet up.
We can't have you still sitting down. We've still got an appraisal to go.
James.
Now, listen, what are you sitting on?
These, we thought maybe you could sell for us.
OK. Well, they're typical late Victorian Edwardian, so around about 1900 in date. They're typical in as much as a lot of those late Victorian things incorporated lots and lots of different styles. So you start at the bottom, you've got a Dutch-type foot at the bottom there. You've got a nice sort of English baluster that you'd find on 17th century furniture. You come up through here. You've then got a nice Queen Anne crusting rail. So, big mishmash. But I'll tell you what, the other thing noticing is that the Victorians weren't averse to saving a bit of money. So basically they're in beechwood, stained beechwood, to make them look like walnut. That's good thrift, I'd say.
OK.
Now, talking about thrift, believe it or not, they're probably worth between £30 and £50 for the pair.
James, I heard that. £30 to £50.
It's
you want to
not
buy
a
them?
lot, is it?
I tell you, I thought we could make them into Posh and Beck's thrones. It could be Edwina and John thrones.
Oh.
Have a seat again on them.
Thank you.
Yes, because in anticipation, I'm going to give you the bottle.
Oh,
I'm going to give you any of these. One for James.
that's kind.
Lady of the house.
Thank you.
I'll
Right.
hold yours, John.
Thank you, darling.
Yes, I sort of thought we might as well start celebrating early because we've had a
agree.
terrific day.
It's been lovely.
It's been really, you have so many beautiful things to talk about.
Oh, done with
Very
great
smooth.
style.
Now, just to recap, Marie Curie is the reason we're all here today.
Yeah.
And of course, we want you to raise your target. So you wanted £500. You thought that'd be pretty good, didn't you?
Yes.
Well, I'm very pleased to say, da-da-da-da, you have got the £500. Not only that, you got £590. Yay!
Wow, brilliant.
Cheers,
Yeah,
cheers,
cheers.
cheers.
Well done, guys.
I didn't get yours, James.
Oh, must
cheers.
We've had a great day rummaging around Edwina Currie's beautiful barn conversion and found some items we're hoping will prove to be popular at auction. The Victorian chairs might not be of huge value, but anything above £30 would be a great result for Edwina's charity. The mice and china plate may well go to a collector, so let's hope someone will be happy to pay the top end. John brought all his tribal statues all the way back from Africa, and if they sell for more than £70, it will be well worth the effort. Edwina's hoping her eggshell porcelain will carry favour with the bidders. Still to come on Cash in the Celebrity Attic, Edwina and John get into the auction swing.
Yes.
We're on a roll. Come on, on a roll.
But will they still be smiling at the end of the sale?
I'd like more, but we'll see how the rest goes on.
All will be revealed.
Now, when we went to former politician Edwina Currie's home in Surrey a couple of weeks ago, we managed to find a wonderful collection, really interesting collection of all kinds of items. And we brought them here to the John Nicholson Auction House in Sussex. Now, Edwina wants to raise around £500 for her favourite charity. So let's hope that all the bidders won't be too conservative when her items go under the hammer.
It's a busy day at the auction rooms, and we're all hoping that Edwina's lots will sell well. James Ryland's top tip looks like being those tribal sculptures.
James, good morning. I have to tell you, you are much prettier than they are.
Do you know what, Gloria, when I picked up this, I thought I was looking in a mirror.
Oh, go on. Now, do you think these are going to sell?
I like them. I mean, I also like the connection with John growing up in West Africa, but they're wonderful tribal pieces.
And
so-
he loves them, doesn't he?
No, he
He's
does.
Very fond of them all.
Well, we need them to fetch a good price then,
Yes,
don't
we do. And what else? I mean, I loved, for example, the volumes of Shakespeare, so I'm hoping they do really well.
Well, he's quite a bookman. I mean, that's his real passion. So we've got to perform for him today.
And I love them as a couple because they're very vibrant and a good pairing. But I know they've arrived, so shall we go and say hello?
Yeah, great.
Now, if you're planning on buying or selling at auction, do find out how much commission your local sale rooms charge, because the rates vary from auction house to auction house. Edwina and John are fully informed and ready to strut their stuff.
Edwina and John, good morning.
Hi, darling.
All set for action.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I'm really looking forward to today? The moment that you, Edwina, take to the podium. I think you'll just beat them into submission today, you know that?
Well, I'm going to try and persuade them to part with their money.
Now, what do you think is going to do really well for Edwina and John?
Well, I'll tell you what I really love is that little Dutch pine chest of drawers. Very well made, very practical.
Yes.
Up on your landing, if I remember correctly.
And, well, no more room for it, really, in our house.
And,
if we bought some George III stuff a little earlier this year, and so the Dutch one, which I'm very fond of, has to go.
We got to go because the auction's starting, so maybe you should say goodbye to that lovely plate of yours.
Bye-bye, Myson.
Bye-bye, my
You're
son.
a bit
Bye-bye, my
sad
son.
today.
Bye-bye, my son.
Time to get into position. Now, for once, someone in the auction house has got a louder voice than me.
366A, the Spectators Books Collection, volumes 2 to 8. And on 150,
I don't think there's any chance we'll miss any of our lots today.
56 we're selling, sir.
You know what, John? All morning, James has been calling you the bookman. Yes. So just remind me where these came from.
Well, I bought these some years ago at auction myself. They are a political satire of the 18th century, and they are the very beginning of the Spectator newspaper, so they're a big piece of history. They're quite important history. Don't think they'll make a lot of money because they're just not fashionable at the moment.
Let's see what they make.
Yeah, okay.
10, 20, 30, £40 bid.
That's top end of estimates.
50 I'll take. At £40, commission bid. 50 anybody. You bidding? At £40. 50. At 50. 60 anybody. At £50. There's the bid at 50.
Yes, well, that's really good. Because this is not a book auction.
We're off to a great start as the Spectator books sell well over their estimate. But will Edwina's pine chest of drawers also be popular with the bidders?
We've got £100 to £200 on that. I just think it's a very unusual stick of furniture, really.
350 8A, Dutch pine chest, there we are. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 80 on the book.
Yes.
At £80, 90 I'm looking for. There it is, good chest that. At £80, 90, 100, 10 now. 110, your bid, sir.
That's good.
At 110, your bid, selling in the centre, 110. 27, thank you.
£110 within estimate. I'd have liked to have seen it made a little bit more, but I think it's a really useful bit of furniture.
Oh, yeah.
Are you pleased with that, Edwina?
250,
I'd like more, but we'll see how the rest gets on.
You know that chest of drawers had great sentimental value for Edwina, so she's sorry to see it sell at the lower end of its estimate. But £110 is a fantastic addition to our charity.
Well, coming up next now, we have the Dictionary of English Furniture. So why did you decide to get rid of this book?
I have to say to you, Gloria, it wasn't one of the things we originally expected to be handing over because it is a very good standard work of reference for people who collect furniture as we do. So hopefully it should do quite well.
Well, we're about to find out. Yes.
Yeah.
The Dictionary of English Furniture, Volume 1. There are 2 in the volume. It's a masterpiece of book to have. Bid me. 20, 30, 40, 40, 40, 50 I'll take. At £40, 50, 60 now. 60. At 60, there's the bid. At £60 and selling, yes, you there, your bid, selling at £60.
Yeah.
£60, good price. Nice book, though.
Yeah,
I'd
it
love
is.
to have owned that.
Never mind, James. Someone else snapped up this masterpiece for £60, right on estimate. Let's hope the Victorian chairs will also attract some good bids.
At £20, 30, anybody, the pair of chairs at £20.
Uh-oh, £10 under the lower estimate is a pretty disappointing result. Today's bidders were clearly not impressed by the Victorian value in these chairs. Beechwood stained to look like walnut obviously isn't a top seller in Hazelmere. But Edwina and John are taking it right on the chin.
We're not sorry to get rid of them, are we?
They've gone. They have not left a hole in our hearts.
No.
Will things pick up with the Japanese porcelain?
At £20, 5, 30 I'm looking for. At £25, 30. Anybody? At £25.
Just underneath.
Yeah.
£5 underneath the lower estimate. But I don't think it meant an awful lot to you anyway, Edwina, so no, it's okay.
I think you made a profit as well, didn't you? Well, charity's made a profit.
Just.
Edwina originally paid just a few pounds for these pieces, so though they've come in underestimate, all her profit is going to charity. Will the next lot go as Edwina and John would like it?
£3.98. The dramatic works of Shakespeare, 7 volumes. I've never seen them in this size before.
And Edwina, are you partial to these magnificently bound books?
I love old bindings, but I prefer a book that I can lift.
So what's your prediction?
I think for all of these we've got £80
That seems very little to me, I must say.
Listen, you can always use them as a doorstop.
The set of 7 sold again for Edwina Currie. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 120, 40, 60.
Yes.
Against you at 160, 170.
Yes.
180 sounds better. 180 at 180. 90. Anybody at 180.
Fantastic.
Very good. You pleased with
well
that?
done.
Isn't that good?
Well,
That is
John,
more
credit
than
to
good.
you, because you bought them recently.
I'm the bookman.
You are the bookman.
What did you pay for them, do you remember?
About £120.
Oh, good profit.
Books this size are known as elephant volumes, and £180 is certainly a mammoth result.
Not only have we got some more money for the charity, but also we haven't got these enormous things to dust and lift and carry around in the house, which is not easy.
I am
believe me.
more than happy to see them go. They are monsters, those books, they really are.
Talk about a turn up for the books as we hit the halfway mark.
Knowing that you want around £500, you have already reached, with a lot of items to go, £445.
That's amazing.
That's
Isn't
fantastic.
that great?
We only need to get about another 60 quid and we've made our bottom line.
That's right, so you should be really
We
proud
should
of
be
yourselves.
quitting, that's
It's
terrific.
nerve-wracking, though. It really is.
Edwina might be feeling the nerves, but it's John who might need to start worrying. While he's checking out a lovely bureau, Edwina seems to have found some rather dazzling jewellery. Meanwhile, James seems to be planning a musical interlude.
Now, James, you always have a little goodie up your sleeve, so what have you brought me to see this time?
Well, I brought you over to see this bit of furniture, but I just wondered if you know what it is.
I don't actually, and I've been trying to work out what it might be. I like the wood in it.
Well, I know it looks like a piece of furniture, but it's not. If we lift the lid...
Ah.
So what have we got here? We've actually got, it's quite a rare thing. It's a cylinder musical box on stand. And if you look there, do you see the cylinder with all of the metal pins in it? What happens is that rotates and the pins twang the teeth on these twin combs here and produce music.
And do you think you can make it play?
Let's give it a whirl.
Small Regency circular tripod.
Oh my goodness. Just like a magical music box.
Isn't that glorious?
Fabulous. And what period are we talking about here?
This dates to the sort of round about the 1870s. So it's before the phonographs came in or the gramophone record. Before then, this was the first thing that people had. They were incredibly expensive because each one of those cylinders had to have all the pins individually put in. What makes this one rare is that it's actually got twin combs, which is called sublime harmony. We've actually got the original tune sheets here, sublime harmony, and then it lists all of the tunes that they actually play.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's beautiful and it's rare.
And in great condition.
And in really good condition.
Gosh.
Now, the auctioneers have got an estimate of between £8,000 and £10,000 on this. I'm not sure whether they'll sell it or not, because the sad thing is that things like this have actually gone out of fashion. 10 years ago, this would probably have been worth about £15,000
Really?
plus.
Well, I have to tell you, I am very pleased that whoever owned it kept the music sheets in such perfect condition.
It's equivalent to Top of the Pops.
Now you're talking. I think we better get back to work, though, don't you?
At £16,
James was spot on. The music box went unsold after bidding only reached £6,000. Back to John and Edwina's auction now, and the tribal statues are up next.
£3.98, the 2 statues sold for Edwina.
And John in particular will be very sad to see them sold.
I grew up in West Africa as a child with my parents. The Yorubas were our local tribe. They taught me to ride a bike, took me to church, all that kind of thing. So it means quite a lot to me. I'm rather sorry to lose them, to be honest. But there again, it's going to a good cause. That's what matters.
And I'm 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 bid.
Yes.
We're on a roll. Come on. At £70, 80 anybody.
Yeah, come on.
80 anybody, selling at £70. 170.
John was hoping the statues would make more, especially as he's so attached to them, but they've sold on estimate and we've added another £70 to the pot for charity.
The price they fetched, I think, was rather low, to be honest. I really think if they'd have been in the sort of auction which specialises in tribal art, they'd have probably got 3 or 4 times as much.
Next up is one of Edwina's possessions.
So now we have the Copenhagen Plate, and I recall that this was actually on display in your house. So what made you think of getting rid of it?
Partly because I hope it'll get a fair bit of money. That would be nice. And it's the sort of thing that we won't miss it too much. It's not as if it has a strong family connection. It just kind of looked nice where it was.
And I'm 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, bid. At £60, 70 I'll take, yours at 70. At £70, your bid, so it's a lovely plate this. £70.
That's good.
Yes.
Good.
Well done, James. Very good estimate.
Royal Copenhagen is one of the most famous names in porcelain, so we're not surprised that the plate sold at the top end of its estimate. Will the pine desk, though, also deliver?
406A, the pine desk, sold by Edwina there for 50, 75, 100 bid, 25. At 125 bid, 50 I'll take, 130, 140, 150.
Oh, this is more.
At 150, 60 now. At £150. Sold on commission.
Are you happy with that?
Yes, delighted, actually.
300.
Apart from anything else, it shows I had taste when I bought it.
We've always known you had taste, because you chose Edwina.
No, she chose me. But I'm glad she did.
Antique pine furniture is always popular at auction, and this piece is sold right in the middle of its estimate. And we've got another great mark of porcelain up next with the Meissen plate. Will its sale price live up to the hallmark?
This Meissen porcelain plate, the onion pattern with the pierce border, show the cross-swords mark at the back. There we are, lovely plate. I'm 10, 20, 30, 40 with me, 50 I'll take. At 50, 60, 70, 70, 80. Gentleman's bid at 70. At £70, 80 anybody. At £70.
70 is brilliant.
That is really good.
So it sold £10 over its top estimate. Just as well, Edwina and John have already bid it farewell. They've had a great day at auction so far, and with one last lot left, it's time for Edwina to test her mettle as an auctioneer.
Edwina's going to sell you this one, the 4148, the small statue of bronze. There you are, she can have the gavel.
She's beginning to look very at home in the paper, I think. You've lost her.
No.
She's going to take up a day job.
Right, just to tell you something about this, it was presented to me in the constituency I had in South Derbyshire, which was a mining constituency. These days, as our coal mines have virtually disappeared, this is the sort of thing that doesn't get made anymore. So I think we should start at 20. Have I got 20, please? We've got a bid for 20. Can we have 25? 25. 30? There's one in the front. 35?
Yes.
40? 40, anybody? 40. 45 anywhere? 45, thank you. 50? 50 over there. 60? 60 at the back, thank you. Who's going up to 65? 65, yes, thank you. 70, anybody? 70. 80, madam?
She's a natural.
80, 85? I should have gone up in larger chunks, shouldn't I? being too modest. 85 at the back. 90? 100? Yes, thank you.
100.
Good. 110? Thank you. Going, gone. I've always wanted to do that.
Well, they say that politicians are persuasive, and Edwina did a great job selling the statue for more than 5 times its lower estimate.
I'm an auctioneer, and I'll tell you, you did a fantastic job.
James says you're a natural.
You are a natural.
Lots of bids for it.
Did you enjoy doing it?
I love doing it. I love taking money off people.
So do we, Edwina. But how much have we managed to raise in today's charity auction?
This now is the moment of real truth and my highlight of the programme. I love this bit because I want to give you your final total. Now, you wanted around £500, but I'm very thrilled to tell you you have reached the large sum, I think, of £915.
Yes.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Isn't that fabulous?
Brilliant.
Darling, well done.
Oh, mwah. I get the kiss first.
Excuse me.
Mwah.
And
Now your wife. We've really enjoyed the rummaging at your home and all the fun and excitement we've had at the auction. So thank you very much for taking part.
Thank you, Gloria.
You both,
Thank you for your help, James.
well, you've both got very good eyes, I must say. You both bought extremely well. Yes.
Well, Marie Curie Cancer Care does a number of things, but the most important thing it does, in my opinion, is provide a home nursing service right throughout the United Kingdom, looking after people who are dying of cancer in the last few days in their own homes. And for those families, it means they do have a choice. They don't have to die in hospital. They can actually choose to be at home, surrounded by everything they love.
The money raised will go towards funding more home nurses like Anne Kangay.
I feel I'm doing something for my society by being there for them at the right time and when they especially need someone to be there.
They can help people come to peace with what is happening to them. And to me, that's absolutely wonderful. I know the nurses themselves say it's a privilege to help somebody on that last important journey.
Well, what a lively couple and what a fantastic result. Edwina and her husband John would have been very happy with £500, but they ended up with £915, which is fantastic for the Marie Curie nurses. Now, if you'd like to join us on the programme one day and you think you've got lots of things hidden around your home and you'd like to raise money for something special, it's very easy. All you have to do is get in touch with our website, bbc.co.uk. I've really enjoyed your company and I hope you'll join us one day on Cash in the Attic.